Hey guys, what's up? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. So unfortunately, we have some bad news. Some of you guys may have already heard about this earlier on stream today. I know for a fact that you guys have, but I'm pretty sure that there are more of you that haven't at this point. So wanted to take a little bit of a detour from the video that I was going to release today and do this instead because this is more important. So we have an article here from Tom Henderson, who, as you guys know, or was previously known as the Gaming Revolution, who has been an incredible inside source, or has been very credible within his inside sources about multiple first-person shooter games before they come out, telling you what's going on behind the scenes and such and such. And he's been pretty consistent. And as of right now, XDefiant, according to this article, XDefiant is on borrowed time as player numbers decline rapidly. So this is what the article says. According to several sources at Ubisoft San Francisco has until the end of Season 3 of XDefiant to improve the game's bleak player numbers. XDefiant was all the buzz when it launched in May of 2024. The game exceeded 1 million unique players in its first 2.5 hours, which is a Ubisoft record, and exceeded over 8 million players in its first week. Executives were thrilled that the title's future, even reported the company's latest press that XDefiant revenue contributed to its Q1 2025 financial success. But now, just 6 weeks from its Q1 financial report, Ubisoft HQ wants player numbers to increase by Season 3, or XDefiant risks losing its much-needed post-launch support. Internally, optimism for the game has shifted primarily due to the game's continuously declining player numbers and lack of player spending. One source told me that the game has been struggling to obtain 20,000 concurrent players across all its platforms, whereas another said Ubisoft would probably be happy with that number, which basically suggests that it is now much lower. The declining numbers have created tension and anxiety within the team, and sources who spoke to me believing that the more layoffs are only a matter of time. It's not like Ubisoft San Francisco isn't already feeling the pressure either. Earlier this month, Ubisoft caught 45 jobs at its San Francisco, California, and North Carolina offices, with around 10 actively working on XDefiant, and even more at the studio losing their jobs due to Rocksmith Plus scaling down. Frustrations within the studio are aimed at the leadership, who have refused to take responsibilities for the project's shortcomings, which could have been avoided with a better studio culture. In late March of 2024, I reported on the studio's toxic work culture, and despite an internal investigation that concluded last month, I was told that the issues had been swept under the rug and its problems were still prevalent. As for XDefiant's future, leadership is betting all their money on Season 3 to turn things around. But with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 set to release between Season 2 and Season 3, those I spoke to are feeling pessimistic about the game's future. One source even went as far as to say, expect more Ubisoft San Francisco layoffs headlines within 6 months. Now, there's also an additional article over here by Kotaku, but let's close that. But it pretty much says the same thing for the most part. But just for the sake of this video, let's just get into it from top to bottom, left to right. So it basically says, report Ubisoft's once popular FPS is running out of time. XDefiant launched with big player numbers, but now its devs are struggling to keep players around. Ubisoft's big Call of Duty-like FPS XDefiant might only have until Season 3 to turn things around, increase its player count, and start making more money, or the publisher could end post-launch updates and effectively kill the FPS. Developed by Ubisoft San Francisco, XDefiant finally launched in May for consoles and PC following numerous delays and well-received beta. Ubisoft's Call of Duty-like free-to-play shooter came out of the gate with a big player numbers and good reviews, but a solid amount of content. I really enjoyed the game as it provided with a fast-paced arena shooter, but it also didn't take up 200 gigabytes of space in my console. But now, just a few months later, XDefiant is reportedly bleeding players, and Ubisoft has set a deadline for things to improve, or it could be over for the shooter. On August 30th, Insider Gaming reported that Ubisoft executives started to sour on XDefiant. At first, the publisher praised the game's success and revenue, but now it reportedly isn't happy with the shrinking player base and profits. According to Insider Gaming, XDefiant has until Season 3, which is likely to arrive in November, to improve things, or Ubisoft will stop supporting the game with updates and new content. It's reported that the game has been struggling to reach 20,000 concurrent players across all platforms. Another source told Insider Gaming that Ubisoft would probably be happy with that number, which seems to imply that the current number of players is even lower. Due to the lower player count of Ubisoft's deadlines and concerns, some within the Ubisoft San Francisco team are worried about layoffs. The publisher already laid off some San Francisco employees earlier this month. Kotaku has contacted Ubisoft about the report. Some staff blamed the leaders of the studio for not taking responsibility and working to improve the company's workplace culture. As previously reported by Insider Gaming in March, some employees claimed that a small group of people in the studio known as the Boys Club were making bad decisions, giving certain friends more power and treating employees poorly. It suggested that the group led to the game being delayed multiple times. The plan now is to focus on Season 3 in the hopes of turning things around for XDefiant. However, Season 3 will be landing around the time of Black Ops 6 hits consoles and PC. Sources told the outlet that they aren't feeling too good about the game or the studio's future. One source reportedly said, expect more Ubisoft San Francisco layoff headlines within 6 months. Now, obviously, this is terrible news, and it certainly isn't looking good for XDefiant. A lot of players would say that it hasn't been looking good for a while, but the thing is, up until today, we really didn't have any idea of just exactly how bad things were, other than looking up like the most played games for consoles or whatnot, and kind of going from there and trying to connect the dots and put the pieces together. But my goodness, this is not good. This is actually worse than I thought. I mean, if there are only 10 devs working on XDefiant, it's like, yeah, no wonder. I mean, all this stuff makes sense. And the thing is, if they're betting everything on Season 3, it's like, and you only have 10 devs working on it. So I'm assuming they're going to hire more, though, up until then. But it's like, these are going to be new devs that have to be caught up on stuff. And that in and of itself takes time. So will they be able to reach the finish line before Season 3 in order to release the amount of content that would make a difference for the game and give it to the shot in the arm that it desperately needs? I don't know. I'm actually very... I'm not going to lie, guys. I mean, it's... again, the end of Season 3 is going to be probably February at the latest, right? It comes out in November. Let's just say January, right? Let's say by the end of January at the latest, Season 3 is going to be over, right? And that's going to be like the final deadline for XDefiant to turn things around. Now, I know that a lot of you guys will say that that's plenty of time from now. However, with that being said, when you look at the low number of developers, when you look at the amount of players that are playing, if it's below 20,000, right? So it just goes to show you that there's like quite a lot that the game has to catch up on, and we're talking a lot of stuff. And let's just be real, games are really not known to come back from this stuff very often, right? More often than not, it doesn't happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. It certainly is. But again, if all these problems actually really did start off with the work-based culture and these small group of people that they call the Boys Club that ruined it for everybody else, it's like, what the hell's going on here, man? The more I read about the possible wrongdoings with XDefiant and the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, the more we find out over the coming months or whatnot. It seems like these guys literally are like, I'm not necessarily talking about the devs, although I'm sure some of the devs are toxic in there, but like some of the higher ups, man, it's like no different than the guys that are higher ups at Activision. For the ones that continue to be there as well as the ones that used to be there, it really is like an alternate Activision when you think about it. My goodness, man, it's like, why can't we just focus on the game and stop acting like a bunch of immature children and just get this shit done? Now, obviously, the workplace culture is very important, and there's obviously things that you should stand up to, absolutely. And obviously, when you're in a position like that, it's easier said than done. And then, of course, you got the economy and everything else to worry about, and people need to keep their jobs, so they kind of stick with it until they've had enough, and then eventually they do have enough, and then they get laid off anyway. It is a big freaking mess. I even tweeted at Mark Rubin earlier and I was like, please tell me this isn't true. But obviously, as time goes on, it seems to point in the direction that it is actually true. And it sucks, because this game started out pretty strong in terms of the player count and everything else. And if it was able to keep a certain flow going since then, and if the work environment was much cleaner than what we're led to believe here, then, I think XDefiant, even now, about a little over 3 months after its release, we are, the game would be in a much better state than what it was previously. So, but anyway, I just kind of wanted to make this video so that way you guys can pretty much be aware for those of you guys that weren't. So, again, sorry to give bad news. But again, it's not over until it's over. But at the same time, let's be real, it's not looking good, but we just got to try to be as optimistic as we can be. So let me know what you guys think of everything down below. I know a lot of you guys absolutely love the game and would absolutely be devastated if it if it ceased to exist anymore, especially this early, you know, when the game's barely getting its feet off the ground. So it is what it is, man. I want everybody to tell me what they think. Obviously, some people are going to be like, "Oh, good, XDefiant, you know, the COD killer. You know, we all said it wasn't going to last." And then there's other people out there that see the potential of the game and where it could possibly go if things were a little bit better behind the scenes. And it seems like there's always something, right? There's always something in the way that gets in the way of success when it comes to this stuff. So that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. And as always, thank you for taking the time to watch or listen. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.